Dungeons and Dyslexia. It's the 31st of August, and this is my weekly channel update. And that's it. We are already at the end of August. This year is flying by. This is my opportunity to sit down and talk to you about the games that I've played this week, the books that have came in, and also I'm going to have a conversational point. And my conversational point is answering my most popular, frequently asked question, I think, is why I read so well for a dyslexic. And personally, I don't think I read that well, but there's other dyslexics ask, and I put a video up when I first started this channel, and I took it down a while back because it was terrible. But I'm going to go through the two things that I do, with showing some sort of examples as well of how I've managed to get to where I am now with my reading ability. So that's the conversation topic of this week. So a bit of news just going forward. So things coming up over the next week. So I've written them down because I'm getting a little bit more organised now. So on Wednesday at 6 p.m. British Summer Time, I'm sat down with Zach and Zach, who are the creators of Raptor Ruckus, which is a live Kickstarter project. So we'll be doing a live interview with the two of them. Zach Goins has been on my channel. We did a live interview a while back. And Zach's got a big back book, and he's co-written it with another Zach, who I don't know who he is. Well, obviously he's listed in the name on the video that I did, but I've never met him, never spoken to him, so that's exciting to do that. Like, I do like doing the live interviews because it does give viewers, subscribers, and anyone else an opportunity to come in and ask some questions as well. On the Thursday at 8 p.m, I will be sitting down with Todd, the writer of Horde Wars Advance, which is a game that I've been playing now, running it for the last, I think, about 4 or 5 weeks. I think we're heading towards the end of this sort of section where we can sort of end it and then move on to another game. We tend to do sort of month to 2 month blocks, and we'll be talking Horde Wars Advanced, as well as hopefully, well, I know we will be discussing Dropship, which is the game that they will be bringing out next week. And then on the Friday, I am live again with Troy Meppians, the incredibly talented writer of The Good, Bad and the Savage, which I interviewed him last Thursday, and the review went live on Saturday, I think, so they are, of all his books. It's Savage Worlds, Western, more historically accurate than the sort of weird West that we get with things like Deadlands and things like that. So it's really nice to actually have a more sort of accurate and, say, sort of proper Western, if that makes sense. So that's what's coming up. I've obviously got a few reviews coming up. But yeah, as always, we'll go through games that I've played. I'll then look at I think it's 18 books. Reason it's so large is because I missed out 5 last week. I think I said I've got about 17 to go through and only showed about 12. So these things happen when you're doing stuff live. It's only when you sort of sit back and you sort of chaptering, you go, hold on, there's a load of books missing here. So if you did send me a book last week and you weren't on last week's, you're in this week, I apologise. I'm just a blithering idiot from time to time. 3 games played over the last week. Actum Cthulhu, 2D20, Modiphius, Call of Cthulhu is based in the Second World War. We've just started the starter set. I think we're week 2 into the starter set. I really liked 2D20 Modiphius. I know it's one of those systems that people either like or hate. My group is coming round to it, and you'll see in the games bought why. I think, I'm going to get a lot more 2D20 systems run. I've had a couple of great sessions with Games Masters. It's a system that requires a very good Games Master. And now I'm not saying I'm a good Games Master, but I've learned from several how to use the system well, to use the meta currency to get on. But yeah, if you want to go and bash a Nazi, if you want to go and bash Cthulhu, it's a really wonderful experience. So the starter set, it's okay. It's okay for where we are so far. I can't spoil it because obviously it's an active game on what's going on. And I'm not sort of going to say where we are, but Tuesdays, so we're carrying on with Horde Wars Advance, which is the D12 fantasy sort of mass combat game. You can kind of throw a lot of people at the players. It's a fantastic game. So because it's a D12 and it's got the crit range on a D12, you do see some incredibly fun. It's kind of swingy in that whole, players can do great double damage. I get to do double damage. All of my rolls are open, so my players can actually see what goes on. And, I absolutely love Horde Wars Advance. It's a wonderful setting as well. And then on Friday, we played Night Watch, which is written by Bonsar, which was a recent Kickstarter. It's a Victorian alternative history where these sort of voids have come out and technology is really ramped up and advanced. You get mechs and things like that. It's a 3 hour 20 live playthrough on the Dungeons and Dyslexia Tabletop Tales, which is my other sort of live channel for lives and Kickstarters and crowdfunding, things like that is going to go on there. So go and have a watch if you're interested. So it's a wonderful system. It's beautiful. It basically uses the Savage World system. There is a twist on it. I think the combat system, well, the damage system, because it's absolute, is slightly better. It's got this wonderful card mechanic for initiative and different abilities. If you've ever played the game, I was talking about it when playing. If you've ever played the game Mage Knight, where you've got, I think was it 5 different cards, and depending on the initiative card, it would also have a power on it as well. This has got that on the initiative. So if you use things like Free League, where you are and actually Savage Worlds does use a deck of cards for initiative, but they will have your number of where you go in the initiative as well as a power that you can use. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant system. That I think Bonsard said it's on its way. He's done the player's guide, so they are still taking late pledges. So if you go and watch that, actually, I'll put the link to the Kickstarter in this video as well. Save you forcing to go and watch something else, but go and watch it, please. Go and support us. It was good fun. A little bit long. So I did learn something, and the Games Master learned something as well. Spoke to a few players. I think these live plays, I'm probably now going to institute a hard end, where we're going to go 2.5 hours, and if the Games Master's still going, I'm going to sort of just draw a line to it, because I kind of want these one shots to be shorter, not really short, because I still want the Games Masters to be able to show off what's going on and the game and things like that and how it all works and rules. But I also think, if you're going into 3.5 hours, a lot of people aren't going to watch a game that long. And if you want to sort of sell your game, try and get those one shots a little bit shorter. Also, I find a sort of 3.5 hour session exhausting nowadays. My Tuesday sessions are 2-ish hours. The Sunday sessions are about 2.5 hours. I just get easily distracted, I think, and the players do. We're all older. I can't do those sort of 4-hour sessions anymore. So that's everything's played and everything that's coming up. So let's just jump over to what I've bought before I get into my hints and tips to help you, or what I do to help me read. Now, say there's 18 things or books and zines things to go through, some of which I've bought, some of which I've given. There's 2 on here that I'm not going to be showing you, and I'll tell you now. So one is the Star Trek Adventures starter set, which I'll show once it arrives, and the other one is the Lord of the Rings One Ring starter set, which I love the Lord of the Rings system, that D12. Well, it's a D10 with a enhanced crit and a sort of botch on the sort of 11 and the 12. So I will be doing reviews of those at some stage. I have got the PDFs because most of the books now I buy from Dungeonland, which are based up in Blackpool, and they do the bricks and mortar. There's several companies do this now. So you buy a physical book, they send you the PDF. So everything I now try and buy is on a PDF, so I can kind of show it on here. But see, you can see here the first book that I bought. So I picked up the free one of these a while back, and everyone's like, yeah, you should definitely pick up these. Kevin Crawford. I was like, okay, where do I start with Kevin Crawford? He's got a science fiction one, he's got a fantasy one, this one, which is a post-apocalyptic world one, and there's one more, isn't there? It's the sci-fi fantasy, space. He's got Shadow Dark isn't the sci-fi, the space one. And I was like, do you know what? I've got enough sci-fi stuff. I think I've got more than enough fantasy. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go post-apocalyptic because it's the one that you don't seem to get played, or there aren't a lot of books in these. So Kevin Crawford, all of his books are pretty much the same thing. So they are a D20, and the attributes will all sound very familiar once we get into them. So strength, dex. It's your D, your 5th edition. So here we've got strength, dex, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. It's a slightly more basic version of the attributes bonuses, because you're only going to get +2 once you get to 18. But you got skills in here and skill checks, random backgrounds in here. But what I love about this is, I've had a quick look through, but this I've actually bought, so I'm waiting. Oh, just realised I got the pages the wrong way around. Let me fix that. I physically bought a copy of this with the affiliate money that people have kindly used. So I've got a physical copy. And when that arrives, because I'm now finding reading physical copies easier and faster. So when it comes to reviews and things like that, I'm going to be more prone to reviewing my physical copies, because I can record stuff and I can read it a lot quicker now than reading it on the PDF or iPad. So that's really going to be my focus. What I'm doing is buying stuff now that I can come back and review. But yeah, we've got some negative mutations, positive mutations. But what I like about this is, where's the bit right? Is it right at the start, I think, where it's got different, yeah, here we go, the different forms of the game. So you can have a mutant wastelands, sort of deadlands, or after the fall of society, whether it be a pandemic, meteor strike. So this is going to allow you to create that kind of environment that you want. There's a big hex crawl map looking at it at the back with different locations. So I've never really read these. I downloaded the free version, didn't really read it. I went, do you know what, I'm going to go and buy this, and this is the one that I've stuck the flag in that I'm going for. Okay, so that's Ashes Without Numbers. The next one, so last week I found, I think it's 3 free Shadow Dark adventures that are on DriveThruRPG. So I am building a video of free adventures to kind of show, because obviously Shadow Dark is free. You can download the Player's Guide and the Games Master's Guide for free, and Kelsey offers an awful lot of other stuff for free as well. And I thought, what would be good is actually do a free resource of Shadow Darkness. So I found 3 adventures here. I haven't read them yet, because it takes a little bit of time to read them, but this is a 8-page free one. So the Brigands of the Bristleback Burrow, so it's a 1st to 3rd level, and a lot of them also come with lots of additional maps and things like that. There's lots of resources, and this isn't just a free PDF. There's a lot more here on DriveThruRPG. Okay, so we then get, this is something I downloaded off Kickstarter, and it hasn't gone live yet, and this is Gallows Corner, the Peasants Revolt RPG. This is just a free book that you can go and download, and this is the Kickstarter I'm most excited about that hasn't launched yet. Obviously, it's bound to change, because we do see a lot of Kickstarters coming out. Pook and I were talking about this on Wednesday during the live review, and this is based during the Peasants Revolt here in England, in I think it was the sort of 14th century, somewhere around there. Wat Tyler and lots of other people went, what, we don't think you should do what's going on, and they had this big rebellion. I'm going to leave it there, because I don't know how much of this is going to be in play. Okay, it does say alternate history in here, so but Pook and I were like looking at the artwork. It's absolutely fantastic. It does seem really interesting as well, and he was telling me about apparently the rules in here are really good. But I've got a variety of character classes in here that I love the artwork and the art style of this. So what we've got for core rules, he was trying to explain it to me, but it's like you listen and then you forget. So we've got an experience dice, a trade dice, and job dice. So we're going to be rolling different types: D4s, D6s, D8s, and D12s. 1 colour for experience, 1 for trade, and 1 for job. Okay, so you're going to have a dice pool, always look, and depending on how good you are, will determine how large that dice is going to be. Okay, that's cool. I like this. This looks really good. But also, it's Kickstarter, so we're going to have to wait and see what comes out. Next up was something I bought. Again, this came from Dungeon Land, and the Grey Knight is the campaign starter for Pendragon 6th edition. My current favourite is 4th edition, but 6 is really growing on me. And the only reason I like 4th edition is because it's got the Celtic magic rules in there, which Greg Stafford regretted apparently, because it made it a little bit too fantasy, and I just like the Celtic magic that's in there, and maybe we'll see it pull out into this. I don't know, but this is a 90-page book, which is going to be the start of the Great Pendragon campaign, which is a fantastic campaign that is being reprinted by Chaosium This mixes in with the starter set as well. I'm not sure whether it goes before or after the starter set, or whether they sort of play alongside each other. But the Grey Knight was the start and lead in to the Grey Epic campaign for Pendragon, which is a fantastic. It runs about 150 years. Every episode is a single year. And the great thing about it is you can actually interact and change games masters because it doesn't matter. And we are starting a Pendragon campaign setting on my Discord. So if you're interested in joining Pendragon and you're not in my Discord, join my Discord. Links in the video description or in my channel description as well. So there's so far there's 2 of us, but we are building and seeing who can make the time as well. So because if you've never played Pendragon, you really are missing out. It's got some of the greatest game mechanics. Grimme Perils was sent to me last week, so this isn't a this week book, this is a missed one last week, so sorry that I missed you out, Todd. And this, I was going to do a review of this, and I'm ready to go with my review, and then someone else sent me something else. It was Cubicle 7 sent me some books that I'm going to show you in a second, and the way my brain works, I need to read a book, play a book, review a book. If I pick up another book in between that, I forget most of what's in that other book. I don't seem to be able to retain the sort of the skills and how a book works. I can't do 2 at once. So I'm sorry, Todd, this has got a bit of the back foot. Hopefully this will come out next week because most of it is fresh. But this, I love the art style. This is, to me, slight spoiler for the review, if Kelsey played Traveller a lot and didn't play 5th edition, this is what Shadow Dark would look like. And it sort of works and runs exactly the same. There are differences. It's not, I don't mean it in the way that it's a Shadow Dark clone, but it works off a 2d6 system where you're rolling them both, adding them together, as opposed to rolling a d20. You've still got advantage, disadvantage in here. You've got skill checks, you've got stats and tributes. It's just, you've got attributes. There's no skill checks, is what I should have said. And you've got spells in here. It's a fantasy setting. It's sort of a bit rules agnostic, but there is setting stuff towards the back. 3 different character classes. You've got a warrior, Magnus, and expert, and the Magnus is very broad. I think there was 8 to 12 different types. This is what I'm saying about not retaining it, of different types of magic users you can be. Here we go. What's that? 12. So I vaguely remember. Can't always get it out. Great system. Say if you like Traveller and you're not a fan of rolling d20s and you want the full lights out Shadow Dark experience, this is for you. This is available on DriveThruRPG. Again, I'll link everything as we go through as well. Okay, so then this is coming to Kickstarter, I think within the next month or so. And this was sent to me. This copy was sent to me by Jason Duff, and this is a wonderful D10 dice pool system that is it's sort of game agnostic, so you can play anyone. So if it's a little bit like the Cypher system in the way that you can have whatever world that you want, but in essence you're rolling a pool of D10, and it's very early on in the book where it gives you your basics on the way that. So here we go. So this is the example. So it's a roll and keep system where. So, for example, here, this has got an R6K3, which means you would roll 6 10-sided dice. You keep the top 3, and then you add them together and go from there. But it's also got exploding dice in here as well. Skill checks, difficulties here. So it's just absolutely wonderful. Hold on, do you add them together? I'm now doubting myself whether you take the highest one and it's just the highest one. I think you do add them together because, look, yeah, you do on this one because it's got 3 different power levels as well. Because depending on whether you want to be basic humans, sort of meta-humans, or superheroes, will determine whether you're level 1, level 2, or level 3 of fighting in here. Great system. Loads to it. I think it's 10. Is it 10 or 12 different stats? So we've got strength, agility, dexterity, endurance. We've then got the mental stats, intelligence, knowledge, senses, and willpower. Sorry, I probably should have said the physical attributes first. Attributes. Keep saying attributes because I'm an idiot. Or I've been reading it wrong all my life. And then we've got the social attributes here, which are presence, empathy, communications, and influence. So yeah, it's a really interesting system. Looking forward to actually properly getting into this and giving it a go. Been looking forward to this one. This was sent to me, I think a couple of days ago. This is Bloodstones and by Legends of Talc, which is it's the third part to the first. It's technically the second zine, but it's the third part because the first zine covered 1 and 2. So this is Bloodstones, and it's Warhammer fantasy role playing in a Shadow Dark system where it's just being adapted across, if that makes sense. So basically, if you like Shadow Dark and you love the Warhammer world, go and pick up part 1 of Bloodstones, which I probably should have written down exactly what it's called, but part 3 here is In the House That Pierre Rots. So book 1 will give you, it's going to be a slight spoiler. Okay, so the Bloodstones, you need to collect them for reasons in the first campaign, and the first book will allow you to find the first 2. The second one is going to allow you to find the third one, and there are, let's go with more than 10, because then that's not a spoiler. You're going to get all the maps and stuff that you need in here. So I don't know now whether they're going to be individual ones for each one, because initially I think the plan was to run 2 for each one, but adventures go long. This is 66 pages with all the sort of plot and adventure. I'm not going to spoil much more. So we've got cipher systems. Artwork is amazing. It very much feels like Warhammer. I'll link I'll link to the review right at the end of the first one I did at the end of this video. And if I can work out how to timestamp it in here, it means you can go and watch it here and then come back and watch the rest of the video. Legends of Mist is a game that I keep getting nagged at to take a look at. City of Mist was something that sort of passed me by. More a theme. Matt and I, one of my best mates who's in my groups, we were like, this looks really good. And theme-wise, we just knew it wasn't going to get played. So Legends of Mist was in my top 10 of games I was looking forward to in this year. It's currently, at time of recording, if you're watching this now, before the 1st of September, if you pre-order it now, they will send you the PDFs. If you're watching it after the 1st of September, I think you're going to have to wait. You're also first on the list as well, apparently, for dispatch. So I'm a sucker for that sort of deal. So I've got the PDFs coming. I've ordered the box set, which I think was $99 on it. And this is absolutely stunning. And again, I get distracted on other books because as soon as I sort of read a book, I'm like, this is nice. It all uses these sort of keywords and things, which is I'm struggling to sort of wrap my head around a little bit. This is going to need a proper read through and play, but it seems to take you through and show you exactly how to create your characters, what you need to do. It's like a choose your own adventure type thing. It's a brilliant way of playing it through, and I need to find the time to do it. So you got that right at the start, and then we're going to get right into, making your hero. So you get then into character creation and stuff. So it's just looks beautiful. So let's just have a look at the different character classes that we get. So we've got a village folk, a wanderer, an outlaw, a persons at arm, a faithful ones, magician, witches. So witches is fine. Persons at arm. And then strange creatures, nobility, monsters, and gods. Oh, you can have male witches, I suppose. I wonder if they'd change person of arms if they were in He-Man. I just know that's going to annoy people. That title doesn't bother me because it's just a couple of words, but I know it will annoy people. It does look, it's beautiful. It is a beautiful book. Next one is I've been recommended because I've done a Mithras book. I've got another couple of Mithras reviews coming over the next month. Mithras books are quite dense. They do take a little bit longer. And a couple of people, and I can't remember, I'm terrible. I really should write these down to acknowledge. They basically said, have you picked up M Space? And I was like, no, what's that? And he went, it's Mithras in space. Okay, so sounds good to me. So Mithras, if you're not aware of it, or M Space, is a D100 roll under system with some incredibly interesting combat mechanics where you get to learn, depending on your successes, special abilities and traits that sort of speed up combat. You can do specific things like target armor and things like that. So the system itself will look very familiar if you've played any of the it's chaos in the basic rules. So Call of Cthulhu, Rune Quest, anything along those lines. It's just using this exact system in here as well. But haven't looked at this yet. I've ordered the physical copy. I am waiting for that to arrive. Once it arrives, I'm going to get in this because this is 240 pages, and it seems okay in layout, but I think this is going to be one that I want to sort of sit down, and actually flick through the pages to get through. Okay, again, this is another one that I sent last week, Rodrigo Salvi, not last week, the week previously, and this is Knights in the Neighbourhood. This is a bit weird because we are playing cats, dogs, that sort of thing. So you're using D6 as the pool. But let's get into, so we've got attributes, so we've got cunning, agility, instincts, courage, and toughness in here. And then a sort of breakdown of what they do. I think if more of experienced games master or player, you should know what they are. Licking wounds. And I was like, okay, this is now starting to give the impression. But when we get to the classes, so you can play a cat, and this will determine your attributes. Got it right, attributes. I'm getting there. You're starting attributes here. So we've got cats you can play with some unique traits and instinctive effects. Raccoons, opossums, and obviously dogs, which I'm going to pick if I play this. I'll end up running it. I rarely get to play stuff. And rats in here. Oh, there was owls as well. So yeah, it seems to be a game where you're playing things that maybe protecting the wilderness. I haven't actually read the outline of the game. I've just kind of flicked through, but I love the artwork, and I do like the idea because anthropomorphic, I think that's the correct word, books kind of it's not really a thing that I'm overly. Well, it's not comfortable with. It's not my favorite type setting, but the thought of sort of actually playing real animals in a setting is very interesting because I don't think it's something I've ever done. But yeah, this will be coming again at some stage. Looks like Shots in the Dark is next, which is another one of those free Shadow Dark adventures. It's a one-shot adventure compatible with Shadow Dark here. Written, what we've got here, by Sarah Angel. I think that is how it's probably pronounced. This is 68 pages. Oh, this is the one-shot one. This is not one shot. This is one shot adventures. Yet this is currently free. It's a ton of adventures on TTRPG, which blew my mind because it's all little one shot adventures, including maps and sort of like hooks and locations, and they're all completely different as well. It's a bit like the adventure anthology written by Steve Grzycki for Shadow Dark. This is that but free. It's not the same, but it's so much in here. I don't know. They can give it away for free. So yeah, that is in here. Was this actually? This might have been the pay what you want one. I can't quite remember. But yeah, again, I will timestamp it so you can go and find where it is. I'm not going to go through the starter set of this, but I have picked up the Star Trek Adventures and Star Trek Adventures Technical Manual for Modiphius 2D20 system because, well, I love the system. I am not a Star Trek fan, but I know several of my group are, as in live group, But I've always been fascinated with I loved the Shatner Star Trek, and I liked the one with Picard. Eventually, I didn't watch it in the 90s when it's out, but I watched it about 10 years ago, and I was like, actually, this is better than I thought it was going to be. So I like the idea of Star Trek, and I like the J.J. Abrams films, which I know Star Trek fans don't seem to like because it's a little bit more Star Wars than Star Trek. Is the feedback others say. I thought it was quite good, especially that bit with sabotage is playing as the ship's blowing things up. But I can see probably why traditional Trekkies aren't massive fans. I've probably upset everyone by using the term Trekkie. But it's a system I like, and it's a world and an idea of a game I like. We used to play, I can't think what the one was called. I had it before I put the video on, didn't write it down. Prime Directive, which was a kind of, let's say, Star Trek rip-off in the late 90s, which I really liked. I love as a concept and playing, I like it, but I don't know anything about it. So I thought, this is just going to give me it's a system I don't need to learn, which is always a big benefit. And I just get to experience Star Trek. I've put it in the WhatsApp group, and at least one person who I knew would be excited is, I'm sure he's already written, well, it should be Matt, his character, but you seem to be able to play whatever you want in this. I think there's like 19 different races of playable characters, which I didn't even know there was that many existed. So I am looking forward to getting this. And then we've got the technical manual, which I like technical manuals more than anything. They're like monster manuals to me, where you're just sitting down reading stat blocks for things and items, which traditionally would be magic items, if you're playing something like Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm looking at technical stats of things and wondering what I can add and interesting things I can put on a planet for the players to go and find and discover. There's some reason why I like technical manuals, and I do like, and I used to do this because I was more Star Wars than Star Trek, and they used to bring out those technical books, and you could actually see the maps of the Millennium Falcon and things, and you'd be like, hold on, there's no kitchen, there's no, where do they go to the poo? I always thought that with the X-Wing, when Luke's flying to Dagobah, it takes him several days. Where does he go for a poo? Where I think Star Trek is a little bit more realistic because it includes showers and toilets in their ships. So those are the two Star Treks, and obviously we've got the starter set in there as well. Next up is The Ruin in the Savage Wastes, which another one of these free ones on Drive-Thru-RPG. It also gave me a 5th edition version of this, which obviously I always appreciate the fact that if someone's going to give something away for free, then they're doing additional work. I know 5th edition isn't too far away from Shadow Dark, however, it is still nice that people go and do that. And we've got this hex crawl map here. And this one comes in at 8 pages across. Okay, so you've got a load of maps and all the locations in here. Then maybe there was 4. So we've got Trial of the Slime Lord, which is a 0 level gauntlet. Gauntlets are fun. Everyone, I think, loves a gauntlet. So just take a load of 0 level characters, run them into the meat grinder. Whoever survives at the end of it. Oh, nice gelatinous cube. That's going to make a mess of a load of 0 level adventurers, and maps and all the sort of monster stats here at the back. So a great little sort of starting adventure just to sort of tease people into. But when people go, what's Shadow Dark like? And go, let's show people what it's like to die. Give them 4 characters, run through a meat grinder, and then they're not going to be too sort of, they'll become more familiar with sort of old school stuff. Keybook 7 then broke me because I was pretty much organised in what reviews I've got coming next, and then Taryn basically went, "Here you go, Adrian. I've got a couple of books for you. So Victoriana, the core rule book, and the Menagerie are due. Well, it's available for pre-order, and when you pre-order the physical copies, you can actually get hold of the PDF straight away." And I was organised in what I was recording and reviewing, and then I've been waiting for this patiently. It is 5th edition. I like 5th edition. I don't like Wizards of the Coast pre-made adventures. I don't think they are very balanced or very well laid out, if that makes sense. As in taking players through every one I've ever ran needed a lot of prep, but as a system, 5th edition is a great system. Whether I'll play it again, I don't know. This is likely to swing me back towards it because the 1st edition of Victoriana was interesting. As you can guess, it's a Victorian setting. It's a little bit like, I would say, Night Watch in that way, alternate history, as you can see all these giant zeppelins over London. There's lots of different races in here. Magic exists, dragons exist, so it's sort of high fantasy Victorian age world, and say it looks interesting. I haven't had a chance to read this because I just know that I'm just going to sit down with these two and just hit it already. There's a few videos already on YouTube with this, which is always good to see. So if you want to find out a little bit more, I will hopefully have this out. I'm aiming for Friday this coming week to actually have this out. It might even drop on the Saturday, somewhere around there. So but it's 300 pages, so it's a little bit longer than I was expecting. So I want to get that Grimm one done and then, you know, head towards something like this, because it's a good thing. And Cubicle 7, out of all of the large companies, they're always really nice in sending me stuff for free to do. They don't ask me to do reviews, but everything they've ever sent me, I've gone, do you know what, I like this. I do love pretty much everything Cubicle 7 have ever made. So we got different classes, different races. So yeah, we will. I'll be hitting that over the next week or so. Well, actually, it should be within the week. Say Menagerie. This is a not a Games Master's Guide. Well, it's a monster manual basically. So we've got 224 pages here of just different stats and monsters, running from, actually just show. So we've got like Londoners here, Secret Society, Unhallowed. I don't know what they are. Maybe undeady type things. Yeah, Nosferatu, Poltergeist Strikes. Let's have a look at the Nosferatu. Okay, that's cool. I didn't realise there was undead in Victoriana as well. Makes sense. It does make sense, doesn't it? Because I was thinking it was more high. Well, high fantasy does tend to include things like werewolves and vampires. Oh yeah, I forgot about the simulacrums, which are your sort of robot-y type people as well in it. Forgot that was in there. Ah, that's me reading this a little bit more now. I can't. I'm running Act on Cthulhu tonight, so I can't read this today, because I did that last week. I read Act on Cthulhu, and then I picked up something else, and I started playing the session. I was like, do you know what, guys, I can't remember most of the rules because the way my brain works. And then the final one, which was the Kevin Crawford one, which again I bought off TTRPG, physical copy coming. And this is the reason I didn't pick up a fantasy one, because I've got a lot of fantasy books, and this isn't quite fantasy. It's fantasy-ish, but this is based here in England, and we are playing Saxons in the 7th century. And I've got a little bit of an issue to start with the way this font used, because it's a little bit, but luckily the rest of the book isn't in this, so it's not too bad. But yeah, in essence, we are just playing English Saxons in the 7th century, again using strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. So all of what I can work out, the Crawford books use the same systems. It's going to have all the random roll tables for character generation and everything else. This is 345 pages, so it's a little bit intimidating, but it's a setting that I'm really interested in. So yeah, that's everything that I bought. I'll just leave this up and available, so because what I want to do is I'm going to come back to this when we talk about reading skills. So let's just get into the sort of the two main things that I do to keep reading and read as well as I do. And I do know that I read a lot better than I ever did. Because when you think about reading, I think what most people forget is let's just look at dyslexics for a start. Okay, so the whole population of the world, if you look at different dyslexic societies, they sort of work from between 10 to 20% of all people in the world are dyslexic to some extent. So I'm going to just put it in the middle. Let's just go with 15, because that makes more sense to me. So that means 85% of people get to school and learn to read, and read well, or capable, let's say, because we are the only species on this planet that reads, that has ever read, that is probably ever going to read. Okay, and through reading, we've done amazing things. We've handed down knowledge, we've handed down property, religion, laws, things like this that has allowed, previous generations to hand on stuff to future generations. We know things thousands of years ago because people created language. So it is great. But up until only about 120 years ago, most people couldn't read. It was really only the rich and the clergy that read. Hence the reason they could do whatever they want. And, even if you think back to ancient religions, especially Christianity, I can't really speak for other religions, but the Bible was really only kept in Latin because it was only certain people that read Latin, even in this country, that didn't even speak Latin. So, language has been used to hide things from people as well. I'm getting off the point. But what I mean is, so there were certain people that could read, yeah? And nowadays, the expectation is that everyone reads, and everyone should be able to read on the planet. And 85% of people should be able to pick up something and, over time, learn how to read and read effectively. But it's a skill. So it's like driving a car. Not everyone can drive a car. Not everyone can play for Everton football team. Not everyone is good enough to. I know that's an extreme example, but to get good at something, you've got to keep doing it. Is kind of where I'm going, and reading is no exception. So if you are capable of reading, you're in that 85%. You still need to read to a certain extent to keep up your reading, and especially the speed of reading or being able to read out loud. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I do to make it's kind of forced me to read. And very early on when I started this channel, and the reason I've recorded this video previously and I took it down because I couldn't speak to the camera very well. I couldn't read well at all on camera. So I think I almost deleted my first 6 months worth of videos because you sort of go back and go, this is awful. Now, I'm not saying this is amazing. I'm the most effective and well-spoken YouTuber out there, or grammatically correct, but it was significantly worse, to the extent where my wife and even my kids were like, that's not you. It looks like you, but it doesn't sound like you. So over the months that I've been on this channel, have really focused on reading, because a key part of what I do on here is reading something and then explaining what I've read back to you, the viewer. So the first thing you need to focus on is just reading and improving your skills. Now, how do you do that? And I spoke about this really early on. So my goal every day is to read for 60 minutes. And that's a bloody long time to read for someone that doesn't like reading. Because you go 60 minutes, that's an hour. That's 1/24 of my whole day, where I could be doing something else. Of course, you could be doing something else. You could be sleeping, playing football, playing golf, walking, whatever it is that you want to do. And then certain people will read off audiobooks. So I never read off audiobooks because all that's going to ruin my skills for reading. So what you need to do, and for some reason my phone isn't on my desk for the first time I'm recording. So what you need to do is use the 5-minute rule. And the 5-minute rule is the best thing for not only reading, you can use this for life. If you want to go to the gym and you go, oh, I don't want to go to the gym, the 5-minute rule. You want to read something, 5-minute rule. Mow the lawn, 5-minute rule. Okay. So what the 5-minute rule is, all you have to do is, anyone can read for 5 minutes. That's all we're asking you to do. Okay. Not an hour, 5 minutes. And that was my goal initiative. So you get your phone, you put a 5-minute timer on, you sit and read for 5 minutes. Buzzer goes off, shut the book, walk away. It's 5 minutes. Everyone's got a spare 5 minutes. And then all you need to do is do that 10 times a day. So that's not right. 12 times a day. And you've got to your magical 60 minutes. Okay. But what actually starts to happen is, because in your brain, 5 minutes is nothing. So 5 minutes will just come and go, but you can just shut your book and then come back and do it later. You know, do it again. You've got 10 minutes and you keep going until you get to your magical hour. And you might not want to start with an hour. You might want to start with 30 minutes or however you build up. But what the weird thing the 5-minute rule does is after a while, your buzzer will go off and you'll go, I'm enjoying this. I want to carry on reading. So you carry on reading for as long as you want. It might be another minute, maybe another 10 minutes. It may be half an hour as time goes on, because you build up your endurance and your enjoyment of reading. Because reading, especially as a dyslexic, is not it's not a natural thing. No one else reads on the whole planet. No dog, no cat, fly, elephant, whales, dolphins, brightest animals out there. They've never read a thing. It's just us that reads, and you've got to get to a stage where you enjoy it. Reading something you enjoy also will help, but the 5-minute rule works for college, university, high school, revising, any of that if you're using it. But say what I've now done is I don't even set my timer. I just go and I start reading, and I just now read, and I read faster, but more importantly, more effectively. So how do I read more effectively? Now, this is where my slow reading skills come in. Okay, so I'm going to use probably the most intimidated book that I've got this week. And this is one of the reasons why I now much prefer a physical book to a PDF. But I can't quite get I've got an overhead camera in here, and I need to sort my desk out to make it work properly. So I'm going to show you how I read a book. So this is 345 pages, which if you're dyslexic, even if you're not dyslexic, that's a pretty bloody intimidating amount of pages and words to read. Because if I just pick a random page here, so there's quite a lot of words in here, okay? Yeah, there's not a huge amount of art. So this is going to be like, oh my God, how am I going to take any of this in? So what we need to do, read the front cover and then read the back cover. The annoying thing is with PDF copies, a lot of the time you don't get a back cover, which is really annoying. So that doesn't help either. Hence the reason why I'm waiting for a physical copy. Because if you read the back copy of the book, that should give you a condensed version of everything in the book. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to read a book. I need to learn a book to understand a book. Okay, there's a key difference, because reading a book is taking in the words and taking it in, yeah? And then you can store it in your head. My brain doesn't work like that, because I can read a page and then go, hold on, where was I? And I might need to keep reading that page again. But when I'm reading physical books, sometimes, if it's text, get a pen or a pointer and then just use that to go down the words, okay? You will find, again, this will speed up because you can read to the speed of your hand. But what you need to do is segment a book. You segment the book into chapters, into titles, and into paragraphs. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, and I'm picking, let's say, the worst book possible, because some of these titles are so ambiguous you don't really, well, you can kind of work it out. But what I need to know is everything that's coming up. And if I know everything that's coming up, I'm not going to panic. So we're going to go table of contents here. So we've got introductory matter, introduction to the book, creating an English hero, character creation. Wherein are the rules of the game? Rules of the game. I'm not a fan of this font, by the way. I think I said earlier, of, is it Galdor and Godly Miracles? So you go through all of these to get an idea of each part of the book and what to expect as time's coming on. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start with an example of how I would go through a chapter. And I'm going to use, let's just go then with creating an English hero, because it's character creation. So this should be relatively simple. So what we need to do is start off by just looking at the titles of each of the sections within the chapter. Okay, so this is a tough one, and I've deliberately picked this book. Well, alphabetically it just comes to the end, and it's a tough one as it is. So there's no title here initially, so I don't really know what's going on. So this means I'm going to have to read this at some stage. So I'm just going to skip on past. And there isn't really any proper titles in here. other than these boxes, okay? Because if you think about most books, they will have a title, and then they might even have a header for each section going through. So this is attributes of a hero. So I then know this next few pages are looking at the attributes of the hero. We've then got a section here for attribute modifiers. So books have titles. They're just hidden in here in a non-smart way, I think. Don't get me wrong. It's meant to be done in a smart way. But I think for people like me, it's a harder read because it's not set up exactly how... And most books aren't going to be exactly what we want. So we've got attributes here. We've then got attribute modifiers. Okay, so I know that's coming up. We've then got a section on skills. So this should feel a little bit familiar. Choosing your hero's past. Okay, that's cool. That's going to deal with history. Some random tables. Getting a gauge in here. An example of choosing the background. Okay, good. Always good to have examples to come off. Choosing a hero class. We've then got glories and shames and levels. The Gallows Man, don't know what that is, but we know that we've got the Gallows Man glories and shames in here. Okay, the Saint. Okay, these probably are different classes because they've then got the Warrior class and shames here. Adventurer, Wilds, Weird, sorry, that should be. Foci and the Great Talent of Heroes. Cool. See what I mean? How we're kind of building up how the chapter's going to work. Then we've got final measures here as well, so that should close down that chapter. Okay, is that going on to skills? It has. Okay, so if we go back to page 42, I'm guessing that's going to be the skills ones. Yeah, okay, so that's the whole of the chapter. So we now know the layout of the chapter, but I'm still not ready to read the whole of the chapter yet. There's one more thing that I need to do, and that is start reading the first line and the last line of each paragraph. And I know this seems like a very long-winded way of reading a book, because the reason I do this is, see this wall of text here? This is a lot of reading for me. And I can get to about here-ish, and I may well have forgotten everything that's gone up here, because I'm only focusing on the line I'm on. Because I've got distracted, I can hear something in the house or whatever it may be. Again, reasons I use these when I'm recording, because I don't know what's going on. So what I tend to do, and good books are written in this way. The first line and the bottom line of every paragraph tends to be some of the key information. The first line definitely should set up what the paragraph's about, and the bottom line should give potentially some sort of conclusion on the bottom line. And sometimes you find the whole paragraph is made up of just the top and the bottom line. So we've got the English are fierce and a mighty host, foul-handed and grim, and our women bring forth heroes. Okay, and then let's go to the bottom line. If you would play at being a hero of England, you must make one worthy of such a great name. Okay, that's not the bottom line. Sometimes this goes wrong. Mud-footed thralls and gibbering foreigners will not serve to earn the glory of our English story and song. So we've got an idea that we're building characters in there. We know that from the title. We know from the titles that are coming up. But it's now talking about English things, so it's just adding a little bit more information into my head. Remember also that a hero does not stand alone in their story. Okay. Do not be a mere grey-clad wanderer, treading the whale roads and walking the heart's way, alone without friend or faith. So too, the rules in these pages will show you how to make your bold adventurer, but do not be a thrall to a man-marked ink or a pale parchment. Now that pretty much is the key sentence in all of this. Yeah, and I've picked that up from reading one line from the start of one of the paragraphs. And this is why I do it this way. And then, once you then read all that, you know what's coming up. And all you're doing is going through, and I know this seems hard work, but trust me, give it a go. You'll find you'll be able to consume information more effectively. And if you can consume it more effectively, you've sped up the amount of time it's taking you to actually read. Okay, so your reading skills are going up, but you're also going up. So let's just get down to there. So, there are 6 numbers by which we measure the mighty man's mind and limbs. You're just going through, and I will read the whole of the chapter. Now, you can do it whichever way you want. Now, I know I spoke about this previously, and this has been something I've been using for a long time. And some people find what might actually work for them is you just do the paragraphs on a page and then read the page. That doesn't work for me, because what I'm trying to do, especially if I want to take in the information and then review it and talk about it back, is I kind of need to know everything that's in the chapter and work through. But that, in essence, is the steps that I do, and you can do that with any book that you read. Okay, so the two things to remember: 5-minute rule. All I want you to do is read for 5 minutes, up to an hour a day. Start at 30 minutes. Seriously, if you're worried that you don't think you've got 5 minutes, or you've got 50 minutes, then you're only doing it 3 times a day. Build up your speed, build up your time, but give it a go on reading a book. So remember, title of the book, back page. Read the full back page. Yeah, take in the back page. Then get into contents. See the contents, the whole contents of the book, to know in your mind exactly what's going to come out. We'll then go through the book. Again, do it by chapter or the whole book. It's up to you on how you do it. Read the titles only throughout the whole of that chapter or book. Then, first line of each paragraph, bottom line of each paragraph. That will then build up a huge picture of what's going on in the book. Then you're ready to read the whole book. Give it a go. Let me know down in the comments if it works for you. So it's been working for me for years. I've used these tips and tools, not the 5-minute rule, because that was a more recent find, but the way I read books got me through university. It's got me through all of my professional exams. I've got, without being show-offy, I've got 20-something letters after my name. I've got a lot of, professional exams in my job. So I'm used to doing exams and studying for exams. And it's worked for me over the years. Hopefully this will work for you. If you've got something else that you use, by all means let me know down in the comments below. I'm always welcoming to learn from other people, especially dyslexics, on how they get through and how it works for you in life. That's it. That is my weekly video. If you've enjoyed this video, like, share, subscribe to the channel. You know what to do. Come support me on Patreon, Discord, a variety of other places. Say if you want to be in the live plays, you need to join the Discord to do that. Links for everything are in the channel description, and I'll see you live 3 times in this coming week. If you're there, thank you for joining in. If you're not there, you can always pick me up on the pre-recorded, and I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching.